Welcome back to the DNC here at the United Center, where we continue to have great guests come along as we get ready for this long week. We're kind of halfway through the week. We are now joined by Mr. Bill Daley, and you may know him as part of the Obama team, but you also worked with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Yep. And I just made a joke to him that he's now back in the mix because you kind of got out of the spotlight for a while. What's this been like so far? And we're only a couple of days in.
You know, yesterday was a spectacular start to the convention. You couldn't have a better day. Delegates really loved being in the city. The weather was great. Last night's program with the speakers, with the president, having the vice president there was truly an inspiring, exciting evening. So it's a great launch for a convention. That dynamism is going to continue tonight with my former boss, President Obama, and Mrs. Obama speaking to the delegates and a whole bunch of other speakers and entertainers. But it's really about the vice president and the vice presidential nominee that's coming up tomorrow night and Thursday that people are excited about.
So you've worked with two presidential candidates, in Hillary Clinton and President Obama.
Well, I've had a few more. I chaired Al Gore's campaign.
Oh, wow.
I was with Walter Mondale 100 years ago.
Oh.
So I've spent a lot of time around presidential campaigns. I don't think I've seen a burst of energy like this one. In 2000 with Al Gore, we kind of had to grind through it. Bill Clinton went through a lot of primary problems, but in the general election it was fairly easy. But no one's seen this sort of burst on the scene of politics and the way the vice president has captured the excitement and caused the excitement in our electorate right now.
What do you think that is? Because I was quite excited in 2008 for obvious reasons, but you just felt good. You felt energy. Mm-hmm. And the campaign slogan was hope and change and unity, so how couldn't you get on board? We don't really have a campaign slogan for Vice President Harris yet. We don't really have – we have energy, and we've got large sellout arenas. We haven't honed in on what the it is. What is the it?
I think it will come. I will say, in my opinion, right now, it's all about the future.
Yeah.
You've got a generational change, obviously, with the vice president, but it's also sort of a spirit change, just the way she carries herself in a positive, happy sort of way that makes you feel good. You know, the world's got lots of issues. We've got a lot of problems. A lot of people are down. But she makes you feel that, okay, we'll get through this, no matter how difficult the problem would be. We don't have to be so down on ourselves or so down on our country like President Trump often does. We've got to be upbeat and positive. There are enormously great things about our country. Yes, we have challenges, and we're trying to address them. But I sense from the vice president a spirit of positive attitude. Let's get at it and try to solve the problems as opposed to just complaining and whining and being so negative all the time. And that slogan will come out of this week, in my opinion.
Right, and because now I'm thinking back to Hillary Clinton's campaign, and her whole thing was break the glass ceiling, which she also spoke of in her speech, saying that now it's also actually, Hillary said that she put the cracks in the ceiling.
She put a lot of cracks in the ceiling.
She put a lot of cracks.
And I don't think the vice president will stress that as much.
Okay.
She has a record. She's been involved in administration. She's had her own career before that in the Senate and Attorney General. And will represent, obviously, women. And my wife, my daughters, my granddaughters are extremely excited about this election because we will ultimately break the ultimate glass ceiling. But I think the vice president, so far, her tone seems to be, that's not what this is about alone. This is about solving the problems in our country, addressing the problems in the country, trying to bring some more unity to this country, build on what President Biden has done. But then she's going to begin to lay out who President Kamala Harris will be.
Right, and I think that's what the goal is this week, for her to actually just introduce herself to not only the country but the world, because she's been in this secondary role. High level, obviously, vice president. But let's get to what you're good at, which is policy. And we have not heard lots, and obviously it's been, 16 days?
Yeah, right.
It's been 16 days.
Come on, give her a break.
Give her a break. It's 16 days, but we're less than 80 from the election, right? And so we've had to pivot. We as Americans in this country has had to pivot. What, her economic plan. A lot of people and a lot of men of color and people of color say that they made so much money under Donald Trump. there's caveats. There was COVID to that, right? And so people are really eager to hear what Vice President Harris's economic agenda is, especially people of color.
I think, yes, the economic agenda, but the other agenda, foreign policy.
Foreign policy.
And she will begin to lay that out. Does she need to have a 10-point plan for everything? No. I think it's more important right now for people, and I think her speech on Thursday night, to get a sense of who she is as a person and what sort of things, what will motivate her as president. We all know we have a divided Congress, and I don't think anybody thinks that the House and Senate and the White House will be held by one party,
right.
Either party.
That's right.
So you're going to have divided government. So I know this will shock you, Dara. Politicians will propose a lot of things,
right.
But many of them can't get through Congress.
Yeah.
Both the Republicans will, and so will we. So when that's the case, who she is and how she addresses issues, I think will be as important as the 5-point plan that she may propose that could never get through Congress anyways.
Right.
So I think that's what really people want to know. Who is she? What's she about? We know who President Trump is and what he's about. We knew President Biden because he was around for 50 years.
Yes.
So you had a sense of how empathetic he was, how he dealt with issues, what motivated
Well, we also
him.
saw his record, right?
Right.
There's
And
a
his
chance to
actual
look
record.
at his actual
Good
record
point.
over
His
those
voting
years.
record.
Right, his
Yeah.
voting record.
Which changed.
Yeah.
And what was important to him 40 years ago changed, maybe, and what his focus was. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think the vice president was attorney general. She was a prosecutor, and a senator. Those are different jobs.
Those are.
But
yeah.
they do
and
build
state level
one's career.
versus senator. Yeah.
Anyway, it's good.
Yeah, and so I think also there's a voting bloc out there that is ready to be had. And that is the voting bloc of the Palestinians and the Israelis as they deal with this war in the Middle East. She's not really yet addressed it. Again, I know we haven't had a chance to hear from her much, but I think people this week are kind of waiting on Thursday. Is she going to address the war in the Middle East?
Well,
I mean, I know it's a fine line.
First of all, it's difficult when you're in an administration. The president does foreign policy. So up until she actually is the winner, whatever her beliefs may be, they have to be subservient to the president because there's only one commander-in-chief at any given time. So she's very honest with you, she's in an awkward position.
Quite precarious, I would say.
I was there when Al Gore was in a similar situation. So you can kind of express how you feel and how you would, if people understand how she addresses issues. She may not have to address a specific issue if they have a sense of how she goes about the process.
But, Bill, I want to push back a little because right outside our door, these protesters, they want answers. They're banging. Now, clearly, we don't go out and give answers, but they're protesting right outside of the DNC.
And that's great. And they will vote one way or the other. If they want, if they're a single issue thing and they don't like the president's policies or therefore the vice president's, and they want to be with Donald Trump because they think he'll have a better policy in the Middle East, as the vice president said, good luck with that one.
Can I ask you, well, you were with Gore and Bush. I mean, and this country was built on the back of immigrants. Was immigration such a problem back when you were working for those presidents?
It wasn't the issue. First of all, you didn't have the porous border, quite frankly, we have now. And much of that is because of the continuing economic difficulties around the world, and it is a difficult issue. There's no doubt about it. It's a difficult issue in all communities, okay? And how to deal with the cost of this, and just the changes that come when you have such a large number. We all celebrate diversity, but there are challenges to such a diverse society. There are, and there's a reason nobody else has tried to do what America has done, be so diverse. No other country in the world has tried this. But there are challenges from it, and we're dealing with them. And the vice president and the president are trying to deal with it. You can complain about a problem forever. There was a solution, or at least a good bipartisan solution, that was driven by Republicans, that was rejected by President Trump. And then the
And Vice President Harris, as they call her, the border czar, and we know that's not the case. But
Right.
there's that title and that theme that continues to roll around.
And it is a
around
real
immigration.
issue, but it was not as anywhere near the issue it is today in 2000. That's for sure.
You just mentioned diversity. When you worked with Hillary Clinton, she was able to pull women of color, black women, women of color were all women, but especially women of color. When you worked with President Obama, everybody black came out. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we all were so excited, and I say this jest, but all colors, everyone came out. Kamala has some work to do because, again, I think people don't know her as well. I mean, there's a certain base of Democrats that will
Yeah,
support
right.
her at all levels. But what do you think she needs to do more to grab more of the younger people of color, or more of the like my uncles that sit back, you know, at home and just say, "Oh, I don't know if I'm ready," or "I don't know much about her." There's a voting block there in African Americans that I think she needs to hone in.
I think she has to focus on it. Now, the good and bad news of a short campaign is the
Yeah.
good news is, you know, you don't have a lot of time for the opposition to really beat you up. The bad news is you've got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as a Democrat, anyone running for president, and obviously she's in a much stronger shape right now than President Biden was. But President Obama, when he won the primaries against Hillary Clinton, it was June when he became the nominee, late June. So he didn't have that long of a period either to really introduce himself to the American people.
Right,
But he
he was a
did because he
junior
ran a
senator.
good campaign, and obviously he was a special guy and remains that way. It's a Herculean task for her, but if the last 4 weeks is any indication, she sure got the talent to do it.
Bill, you're back in Chicago, where history was made in 2008. How do you feel in this moment right now?
You know, I feel really good about where the Democratic Party is, but also I think the impact that her candidacy hopefully will have on the American sort of psyche and get us more positive and the opportunities. Now, not everyone's going to agree with her, but it really is remarkable that in this country, in a brief 16 years, we could have two African Americans, one who's a woman, leading the Democratic, one of the major parties in our country, one having been elected president, and one within 70 some days of being a African American Indian woman.
Right.
And we are the last great country that has not had a woman president. And so a lot of ceilings may be cracked, and we should celebrate that, even if you don't agree with everything about her. And that to me, it is so symbolic of America. Yes, we have our issues. Yes, we have problems. Everyone wants to complain about them. We don't solve them, and we're making progress. But President Obama used to talk about, you know, this is like a river flowing down the stream, and you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You don't get all the way down there. You don't solve all the problems, but you just keep trying to address them and keep moving along with the current in many ways. So I'm
America's not in ruins?
excited. No, give me a break. Why is everyone wanting to come here? Why did the whole world seemingly want to come? And why is it that our economy is the strongest economy in the world? We have innovators. We have people creating businesses every day. We have major employers in the country who are taking care of their employees, doing quite well globally. Let's celebrate ourselves a little more than this downing sort of the end of the world is coming, and we're all going to, I don't know, do what to each other? I don't know, it's crazy.
I know that I have to let you go. I just have one question. What are your thoughts on President Joe Biden and the way that this has transformed for him to end his nearly 50-year, half a century career as a public servant?
Well, on the one hand, it's kind of sad to see the way it ended up. On the other hand, we're all celebrating, at least last night. You could feel the energy in this room saying thank you to him.
Giving the flowers.
Yes.
Saying,
It must have been a good feeling for him. Sort of
Oh,
bittersweet.
he teared up, didn't he, a little? Yeah.
Bittersweet. But obviously, if the vice president wins, then that's a hell of a statement for him.
Mr. Bill Daley, such an honor to have you
Thank
sit
you.
here. You've worked
Thanks,
with
Sarah.
so many presidents. You've been a part of history, and I'm just happy to have this conversation.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
having
in
me.
us on
Appreciate it.
Politics in
Thank you.
Color.
Thank
Thanks.
you.